Are we live? Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Thank you for being here. Copies of our agenda are at the end of the benches. Hopefully you have those. If you would just identify yourself for the record, and the same with you too, so we'll start over here.
My name is Charles Che. I'm the representative for the owner for 77 East Street, Oneonta.
Charles, can you spell your last name, please?
C-H-A-N-G.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And?
This is my mom. She's came with me, but she doesn't speak English.
Okay, all right. Mrs. Jane.
I am Tony Goodrich, and I'm the owner of 7 Wells Avenue in Oneonta, and this is my husband, Joey Goodrich.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for coming in. You are first on the agenda, so let's take a look at your appeal. I won't read it in its entirety. You are saying that the paperwork did not get in on time. And if everyone will look at this document, it looks like that. It's very close to the beginning. This was provided by Mark Hogue, who is one of our electrical inspectors. If you look at the date of the inspection, it was apparently 6 days after the inspection was due. Mr. Hogue has a tendency to put his paperwork in very, very late, and this wasn't actually received by the Code Enforcement Office until June of 2023. So 6 months, not quite 6 months late. Apparently everything's fine. I am going to make a recommendation that we accept the inspection date, which would reduce the invoice from, gotta go back one. The invoice from $1,517 to $310. That's $250 for the first day, and then $10 a day from then on. And was the $10 a day in effect at that time? Did we up it before January 1st?
I don't know that we did.
My
I don't think
paperwork
we
was
did.
$7.
Okay, so
Okay.
it's $10 a day. That's the letter we got. All right, so I make a motion, but I do think that we need to get some kind of independent documentation, like a canceled check or some kind of communication that shows that it actually was done on that day, and that isn't some fakey kind of date for the inspection.
This is the inspector's
Yes.
report? This is the day after Christmas? You don't
Yes.
think that was correct?
That's the day they're claiming it was done.
And if not, it's right around there. So if it's a little bit longer, my check, because I know I wrote him a check the day that he did it, so we could go by that, that's completely fine.
So,
But I know that it was in December.
so you're contending that he actually did it a few days before?
No, it might have been before or after.
She's being
but-
billed for when it was received by the Code Enforcement Office. And we might hold on that, except that Mr. Hogue is routinely very, very late. It is your responsibility to get the paperwork in.
Wait, and I never received that report until you guys did.
Yeah, well, it's your responsibility to get the paperwork in.
Right,
So it's probably a good idea as soon as in the future,
yes,
as soon as the inspection is done, for you to call the Code Enforcement Office and say the inspection was done yesterday or today or whatever.
well, I'm gonna make sure that
And
he gives me
he should be
something in
getting his
writing.
paperwork in, just because we can't be held responsible for we get it the day we get it, and then we
Right.
get a bill. But I do think that since Mr. Hogue is so routinely delinquent in this regard, I think in this case, we can possibly do, an adjustment in the invoice.
So the adjustment is the $310?
Yes. That is $250 the first day. That's the charge that we have for not getting your paperwork in on time. And $10 a day following that. It was due to be in the code enforcement office on the 19th of December. And it wasn't received until the 26th, or it wasn't done until the 26th of December, as far as we know.
I understand.
So that would make it $310 instead of $1,517.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion, comments that,
Is there any way we can punish this inspector?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, do you have someone else that I can use for future?
Our list is getting smaller and smaller, so Mark is a good inspector. I mean,
Yes, he is.
I've always told people, my personal home, I'll use them, because I want to see what's wrong. But I can't speak to documentation, I can't speak to, it's just like our plumbers and electricians, they're like, well, this guy isn't showing up when he's showing up, but we don't license that part. We say you can do it.
Okay,
We don't know how they operate their business beyond that.
The solution is, unfortunately, since you're required to have the inspection, you should have done a follow-up to actually get their paperwork from Beal and send it in. Because apparently we can't trust people to send stuff in.
Correct.
That solves the problem. And,
There are other guys on the list
okay,
also, so I can get you a list of those.
okay,
Yeah.
I would appreciate that.
Yep.
so that we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
Chairman Vincent?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming in and try to get something to the code enforcement
Okay.
office right away.
Yes,
And then
I
we will
will.
get a new, revised invoice out to you.
Okay, as soon as I can get the image of the check, I will send it in.
That'd be great, that'd be great, and an email will do if you have an image of the check, you know, sometimes you can take a screenshot,
Mm-hmm,
that'd be great.
okay,
Thank you for coming.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is 77 East Street, that's what you're here for. You have two appeals, so we'll take them one at a time. The first one is for blighted, and thank you very much for having the property a little bit more cleaned up. It's not entirely cleaned up. Do you have a restoration agreement on file with the code enforcement office?
Not that I'm aware of. I did not know we would need to have one.
Well, without that,
Uh-huh.
we're not allowed to make any changes,
I
because the
see.
restoration agreement is the basis upon which you receive or don't receive the blighted fee.
I see, okay.
So I would say that we don't have any option, we can't approve that. We don't, do you have a restoration agreement?
No.
How,
Okay, that's part of the requirement. I can give you, just a second, I will give you our blighted property ordinance. I think. No, I can't. I must have ripped it out for somebody else. If you go online,
may
Which
I take it
chapter?
out right now? May I Google it
you
right
can
now?
go online and look at chapter 217 of the city code. And that will give you the requirements for getting rid of the blighted designation.
Yeah, I apologize.
Chapter 217 of, it's under
Okay, I see it.
elected officials, city code,
Okay,
and then you can see that, okay? So I make a motion that we deny this appeal.
Second.
yes.
Any further discussion, questions?
Chairman Vincent?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Okay, the second one is for a vacant property. And, the appeal reads I'm the owner of 77 East Street, which is my primary residence. I've paid real estate taxes, school taxes, and water charges, etc. at all times. The property is never a vacant property. Please abate the vacant property administration fee. We have a problem with that, and that is there has been no water use at the building since 2012. So without using water, I don't know how anybody can live there.
The issue is that she works downstairs, she usually just visits, time
那个水哦，
to
我
time.
开不了，不知道怎么开。
And another issue is that, we were not able to turn on the water for some reason.
所以我不懂开。
It's been a long time, 2012.
That was early year 开始。
对呀，我就只有去买水，自己煮自己吃啊。
So what she could do is she just getting a bottle of water.
No, I think what you need to do is, there is a,
水是怎么开我都不知道。
there's provision of the vacant property
你在讲看怎么开
section
开吗？
which says exemptions. 1 to 3 residential vacant building which is unoccupied for less than 90 days is exempt from registration. Where a vacant building is being actively marketed for sale, it is exempt for registration. Or the code enforcement officer may grant the owner of a single-family residence, which unfortunately this is not. This is a multiple, because of the store downstairs and the apartment upstairs. A property that is undergoing active renovation under a valid building permit with an approved rehabilitation plan is not required to register as a vacant property. So I think there are other ways that you can, I'll give you this copy.
Thank you.
There are other ways that you can get it off the vacant, if you really are using it. I mean, it's not, let's face it, it's not your primary residence. If it was your primary residence, there'd be somebody living there most of the time.
Right.
But there isn't somebody living there most of the time. It is, I mean, I don't know how you've not been able to use water there. Our water department,
Can I ask,
yes,
what do you use the building for?
Right now, she uses it mostly just storage and just for visiting.
For storage and
And visiting, she comes up like,
business?
no,
Visiting.
visiting.
visits.
So she goes to the building on occasion?
I apologize.
She goes to the building on occasion?
Yes,
To see other people?
yes,
Or
because
just
we
see the
also have a
building?
lot of family
And she
here.
stores things there?
Yes, sir.
But so how does this go? There's nobody living there,
No,
but the fact that she stores stuff there, does that mean it's occupied? So if I have a garage in my backyard, and I go out there to repair my car on occasion, and I store my car there, is it occupied? I'm just interested, in the exclusions that you mentioned do not, if it's up for sale or if it could be re. So what about a building which is just being used on a casual basis? Is that still?
So, just to let you know that if there is no water to a building,
Yeah.
that would be in violation of the state code. So
So there's no water to my garage, is that a violation?
that's not habitable space. So if you're talking occupying by just, if you're considering occupying a building,
Yeah.
putting a car in it, your occupancy definition is different from the state's and ours. Ours is occupying a building, and in order to occupy the building, you have to meet the codes required for that. And no water to a building.
And they don't ask you if your garage is vacant, like if you gave up your car and
I
you had your
understand, that was
garage.
just an example, I don't understand it. I'm trying to make it, understand the difference between being vacant, occupied, and being, I can understand when it's occupied, there's somebody living there. There's nobody living there. So does that make it,
I don't know,
apparently the code talks about, when they say vacant property, that means it's not there's no one living there.
and there's no one taking care of it, you know what I mean?
She goes
Like,
over and visits it once in a while.
May I interject, please?
Well,
Yeah.
we've had open violations there as well, so we've had to do major cleanups at that property.
Okay, so basically,
No,
But
I
if you
believe-
read the vacant property code, I think that would answer quite a few of your
And I
questions.
think it's in your folder.
I'll trust what you say is correct.
You know, this is tricky and we haven't had, it was only, enacted in 2019. The vacant property code.
Well,
So it's
I was
very
interested.
new.
His claim is that, well, it's not completely vacant. She stores stuff there and she uses it on occasion.
And this is the other thing, I just notified Marge, we have another appeal. And I wrote a certified letter to the owner and I said, if you're truly using it as storage, and that's all he claimed, didn't claim he lived there or visited, he said strictly storage space. We haven't seen the activity there, but I said, well, you're required by the vacant property code, or our vacant property law, to have it inspected annually. I've never inspected 77
Okay,
East,
so
ever.
even
Not
though
since
it's,
it's been occupied.
I haven't inspected it ever. So, at least 17 years it hasn't been inspected.
well, there's been no water since 2012, so, okay,
Yeah.
I think I understand.
So I think this is, it's not exactly a gray area, but there is appearance of a gray area. And I don't know whether we want to uphold this, deny the appeal or not. I mean, I think the fact that there has been, no water to the property and it's not a residence makes,
You think that qualifies as being vacant?
I think so.
Okay,
But I hear what they're saying about it being used for something else.
yes.
I mean, the downstairs of it was used as a convenience store for a long, long time. It was Campus
Campus
Grocery, I
Grocery.
think.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long that has been closed.
A long time.
But again, this part of the code is very new. And,
It's got a definition here, Marge.
okay, go.
It says vacant, a period of 60 days or longer during which a building or structure or part thereof or land is not legally occupied. That's not legally occupied right now.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
answers my question.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
There
you,
has to be
that's good.
somebody
I
living
didn't
there.
pick that up.
So the fact that she uses it and visits there, that's not occupied. Okay, I'm,
May I ask what is the definition of legally occupied?
I don't know if it goes that far. Well, let's see, I'm sorry. Let's see, occupancy that exists by virtue of fee ownership, a bona fide lease agreement, rent receipt, utility statement, which is in compliance with federal, state, local laws, not in compliance, and other pertinent codes.
it sounds like to be occupied, someone must be living there.
Yes, sir, but I believe in your legal definition, you have and. So we do have the utility bills. The only thing that we do not comply with right now, as you said earlier, would be the water
Well,
usage.
maybe if they
It's
do
not
have
and
the
or.
utility bills, we can,
Yeah, it's.
I don't
Right.
understand what you're saying.
Because
Okay.
it says,
The
it's either I
definition-
have the utility bills and I don't have the water usage and I don't have a lease agreement, so I do have a utility bills.
okay, Carrie has just pointed out a section of the, could you just read that
Yeah.
part?
So chapter 93, which speaks to vacant buildings for the city of Oneonta, contains a list of definitions, one of which is for vacant building. It reads, a building or portion of a building in which no occupant lawfully resides or no tenant is in lawful possession, or any building otherwise not being used for any lawful occupancy.
Well, we're still back to,
Occupancy, storage.
I understand the reside part, nobody resides there, but now we're back to what does occupancy mean? Is it, one way of interpreting this kind of in a bizarre way, since I'm a logical person, So she goes over there and they pay electricity on it, but she doesn't cook food or use the toilet, she doesn't need to. So this is like an outbuilding for her. And somehow, one could argue, unless we find something that says that, it's not vacant.
Now, I could present the New York State Code that says you have to have water to a building
To be occupied.
to be occupied. Now, there are some exceptions, especially maybe in the Adirondacks, where they're unable to get that, or Amish buildings.
Well, you see, this is the same problem, because he asked, what is the definition of occupying? Does that mean someone has to live there?
Yeah,
If that's the case, I can understand, you need water. But she doesn't live there, she goes there, she stores stuff there.
and,
It's not a residence, but is it being occupied?
okay. I mean,
Maybe I'm being a little too much.
I mean, it seems like you're reading into it. The only thing I can say is like, it's not meeting our local ordinance by not having inspections done.
Okay,
I haven't been there, I mean, it's probably been vacant for 20 years plus.
so that sounds like a secondary argument, which I understand.
Okay.
2012 is when the
Even though
water was
she's-
turned off.
Even though she's not living there, it should have been inspected.
Correct.
And
Therefore, it
with
doesn't
a
qual- it
registration,
doesn't
with a
qualify.
vacant property registration,
Correct.
it requires an annual inspection.
It does.
Therefore, it doesn't qualify for being occupied.
If the state requires water to be there, and there's no water, and they get the water exception you made, the commissioner.
We want to shut the water.
That's what it is, exception.
Well, we don't have, I mean, there isn't an exemption for that in the city rules, even if you are out.
True.
Even if you're in the
That's
Did
Adirondack.
you have the water shut off, or was
No,
there?
because few months ago, there was an issue on the
Okay,
exterior, so you guys shut off the water main.
Okay. A few
No, it's
months.
been, we haven't had any usage.
I
here since
understand that now, but that's what happened recently.
It may be,
Yeah.
Marge, there was an issue, and I don't know when they took ownership of the house, but for that particular property, we had, water running out the front of that building at one time, and we went up and shut at our curb box to that place. And it's probably right around 2012 is why you have no, it's probably they never fixed the pipes inside the building.
本来是有水的，不知道为什么他们提到
Your claim is that they haven't been billed for water for a decade.
yeah, no, they have,
It
they have
doesn't
access
matter
to
whether
it.
it's on or
No.
off.
She is paying water bills. Because,
Okay,
because there's a minimum.
oh, okay. I'm ready.
Well, my suggestion is, whatever decision we make, my suggestion is get together with the code enforcement office and find out what you need to do to get this off the list.
Okay.
If you actually are using it,
Mhm.
then let's make a few repairs in the building and then it's habitable and you can actually use it as a building, right? So whatever decision we make today, I still recommend that you come into compliance.
Oh, of course.
And that way, we won't have to see you again on this issue, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the same thing with the blighted. You just need to take some action related to the blighted, and then we won't have to see you on that one either.
Understood.
So,
I make a motion to deny the appeal.
Am I supposed to second?
no, I'd be happy to, I'll second it.
Okay.
Further
So
discussion?
this is the appeal for the occupation.
This is the vacant property fee.
Okay.
Yes. Chairman Rancic? Yes. Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley?
I'll abstain.
Motion fails.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you for coming in.
No, wait a minute. This is the related building.
This is the vacant
one.
This was
The second one.
on the vacant.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks. The next one we have, and I don't think we're gonna see Mr. Jones.
I'm
Is,
sorry to interrupt. So do I
Oh,
reach
sorry.
out to Mr. Hester?
Yeah, just get together with them.
Do you have just write your name and email address?
Mr. Jones at 6,
I'm confused.
We denied that one because we don't have
Oh, we did?
the restoration.
Agreement, yeah.
Oh, okay.
and you voted yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
This one also was just late in their filing,
AGSDER
and
at Omega,
the inspection was done
NY.
on the 28th of July and filed on the 31st. So I make a motion that we reduce this bill by $20, so that it's $270 instead of $290. Under the same criteria that we reduced the one for Tony Goodrich, and that is that the work was done, it just was over a weekend, and the paperwork didn't get in until the following Monday. Do I have a second on that one?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardin.
Yes.
Thank you. Unfortunately, 18 Grand Street got on our agenda and we made a decision on that last week, so that's not necessary. So do you have additional items you want to talk to us about?
I was gonna mention the John Len. He was supposed to provide statements from his tenants. You guys tabled it last time.
Oh, right.
That was the 4th floor occupancy.
You haven't gotten anything from him?
I don't know if you wanna
Let's
table that till
let's table
January.
that till January and give him one more chance to get stuff in. It's a busy month. So we're tabling till January. Mr. Roushi from 1014 High Street, who also isn't here. The property at 10 Washington Street, which was a trash
No, electrical inspection.
electrical inspection, and the 4th floor usage at, what's the address on Main Street?
170, I think it's 178, let me make sure that.
I didn't bring my additional paper.
I said 178, I don't.
178, I think
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah,
what it is,
it's
178 Main Street. So we're just going to delay those again until January. I make a motion to do that. Second?
Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardin.
Sure, yes. Oh, I forgot we're on camera.
That's okay. And I need to know whether I'm being term limited or whether I have one more year.
She say terminated?
Because our
Old people
appointments,
don't like to have references to being terminated.
I know,
You're gonna lose your job,
I know.
move out of this county.
Okay, so with that in mind, I close this meeting. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see